Finishing off the one underrated player from every NHL team series, we have the Pacific Division in today's video. And make sure you guys let me know down in the comment section, is there any other one from every team that you guys want to see? Because I want to keep this as an ongoing series, so make sure you guys let me know down in the comment section below. But without further ado, let's finish off this series with the Pacific Division. Starting off the video from the bottom of the division, I have Adrian Kempe of the Los Angeles Kings, 22-year-old center. He was their first round pick, 29th overall back in the 2014 NHL draft. Adrian Kempe is, in my opinion, one of the more underrated young forwards in the NHL. He's a big guy, he's speedy as well, and that's pretty impressive for kind of a power forward type of player. And he's a center, and I don't think Ondrej Kase is going to be that elite center for too much longer. And I definitely think Adrian Kempe has the capability and the talent to really step in and become that next #1 center for this LA Kings team, obviously if they don't end up getting Jack Hughes. But nonetheless, 163 career games, 64 points. This year in 57 games, he only has 9 goals and 12 assists for 21 points, but it's just really been a rough year for everyone on the Los Angeles Kings, and it's kind of hard to shine in that situation. I thought this was going to be his breakout season, but now I'm just going to move that on to next year because I think he'll play a bigger role for the team. But in my opinion, I'm just a big fan of his game, so that's why I decided to go with Adrian Kempe for the underrated player for the LA Kings. Next up, we have the ever so disappointing Edmonton Oilers. I decided to go with Chiasson, 28-year-old winger, second round pick, 38th overall in the 2009 draft. Now, Chiasson is having a career season as far as goal scoring goes. He has 17 goals and 10 assists for 27 points in 49 games. Now, he is an up-and-coming unrestricted free agent, which kind of makes me nervous for the Oilers fans because hopefully this front office doesn't try to sign him to a lucrative deal just because he's on pace to have around 25 to 30 goals. I honestly think that would be a mistake because I think this could be a one-hit wonder kind of season for Chiasson. I don't think he's a consistent 30 goal scorer by any means. I definitely think he can give them 17 to 20 goals in the next couple of seasons as well. He's basically been the only player on the team really giving them depth scoring behind Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, and McDavid, so he's been a very pleasant surprise for them this year, and not really many people are talking about him, so I think he's having a fantastic year. Obviously the team isn't, and many other players on the team are just having bad years in general, but Chiasson is really shining in a pretty bad situation, so that's why I decided to go with him for the underrated player for the Edmonton Oilers. Next up, currently sitting at 6th in the Pacific Division, the Anaheim Ducks, and I decided to go with Ondrej Kase, or Kase, however you want to say it. I'm just going to say Kase because that's what I pronounce it and that's how I have been. He's a 23-year-old winger drafted in the 7th round, 205th overall in the 2014 NHL draft, and what a steal that is looking to be for the Anaheim Ducks. 149 career games played, 36 goals and 37 assists for 73 points. Now this is a guy coming into the year I had on one of my videos, I think in the summer, for a breakout star candidate, and I honestly think if he was to play in every game this season and he was healthy, he probably would be up there around 20 to 25 goals, so I honestly think he still could have been, but now I'm kind of, like Adrian Kempe, moving that on to next year. I really do think he's getting for a big year, but still, in the games that he's been healthy this year, he's been one of the only bright spots for this Anaheim Ducks team. 30 games played, 11 goals, 9 assists for 20 points. I think this is a guy that is going to consistently score 30 throughout the course of his career, and he's only 23 years old, and getting that type of value from a 7th round pick is pretty remarkable, and not many people are really talking about anything to do with the Anaheim Ducks except how bad they've been this season. So I think Ondrej Kase has just been a really bright spot for them and is one of the more underrated young goal scorers in the league in my opinion. Next up, we have the Arizona Coyotes, still in there fighting for a wild card spot. I decided to go with Richard Panik. Now I was going to go with Clayton Keller, but I think he's too much of a big name player to really deem as underrated because I still think he gets a lot of recognition for how skilled he is and obviously the great rookie season that he had last year. So like I said, I decided to go with Richard Panik, a 28-year-old winger drafted in the 2nd round, 52nd overall in the 2009 NHL draft. Over the course of his career, he's just been a really solid, in my opinion, third liner who can kind of slide up to the second line if you need a little bit of goal scoring. 389 games played, 72 goals and 78 assists for 150 points. And this year, he's having a pretty solid season. In 54 games, he has 11 goals and 13 assists for 24 points. Now, obviously, I think we've seen Richard Panik peak when he scored 22 goals with the Chicago Blackhawks a few years back, but I definitely think this is still a guy who can give a team 15 to 20 goals, and that's something that a lot lot of teams look for is goal scoring, especially depth goal scoring, a guy who can play in your bottom six, maybe play in your second power play unit depending on how much firepower you have on that team. So I think he's getting a pretty good opportunity to shine in Arizona, and this is the team that's been struggling goal scoring wise this year, and I think Richard Panik is just flying under the radar and having a relatively solid past couple of seasons, so that's why I went with him as the underrated player for the Arizona Coyotes. Next up, we have the very surprising Vancouver Canucks, currently sitting at 4th in the Pacific Division, and this was a tough one for me, but in the end, I decided to go with Nikolay Goldobin. Obviously, you have Elias Pettersson and Brock Besser who get a lot of the coverage on this team, so I was kind of debating on going with Nikolay Goldobin or Bo Horvat, but over the past couple of seasons, I don't really see Bo Horvat as an underrated player anymore because I think a lot of people are really starting to appreciate what he does for the Vancouver Canucks on both ends of the ice, defensively and offensively, so in the end, I went with Nikolay Goldobin. He's a 23-year-old winger drafted in the first round, 27th overall in the 2014 NHL draft, and in 113 career games so far, he has 18 goals and 26 assists for 44 points, and this year in 52 games, he has a total of 25 points. Now, Nikolay Goldobin isn't really a guy who's going to wow you on the stat sheet, but he kind of reminds me of a guy in Winnipeg like Brandon Tanev. I think Goldobin is going to be a fantastic role player through the majority of his career, and he definitely has some potential, in my opinion, to really crack into a solid top 6 role. He's only 23 years old, and I see a lot of Vancouver Canucks fans on Twitter asking for this guy to get more ice time, to play with better players, to get some power play minutes, so he definitely is skilled, he works hard, he finishes his hits, and I definitely think he's an underappreciated player for the Vancouver Canucks, so that's why I decided to go with Nikolay Goldobin. Next is last year's winners of the Pacific Division, the Vegas Golden Knights. Obviously, they got off to a very slow start, and it looked like they could potentially drop out of the playoffs, but they've really turned that around, and for the underrated player, I actually decided to go with Alex Tuch. He's a 22-year-old winger drafted in the first round, pick 18, by the Minnesota Wild in 2014. Obviously, the Vegas Golden Knights were able to get him through the expansion draft, and what a find Alex Tuch was. 136 career games so far for Tuch, 31 goals, 48 assists for 79 points, and this year he really is having a breakout season and living up to the contract that he was awarded this previous summer. 52 games played, 16 goals, and 26 assists for 42 points, and he's leading the Vegas Golden Knights in points, and he's played 8 fewer games than guys like William Karlsson and Jonathan Marchessault, so I think Alex Tuch has just been very impressive. I think he does still have some untapped potential too because he's only 22 years old, and this is a guy who I definitely think can be a player who puts up 70 points and can give you 30 goals, and also be a pretty good workhorse in the defensive end as well because he's a big guy, he's a power forward, and I definitely think he can be a future face of the franchise as far as offensive players go for the Vegas Golden Knights, so I don't really think he gets talked about a lot, even though he does lead the team in points, so that's why I decided to go with Alex Tuch. Next up, we have the San Jose Sharks, and I decided to go with Tomas the Ninja Turtle Hertl. Obviously, he scored 4 goals in the NHL in 1 game in his rookie season, and that's kind of where he got popular, but after that, I haven't really heard many people talk about him throughout the majority of his career. He's a 25-year-old, a first-round pick, 17th overall in the 2012 NHL Draft, 382 games played, 107 goals, and 116 assists for 223 points so far, but this year he has really stepped it up a notch for the San Jose Sharks team. You know, with more of the core veteran forwards getting back there in age and not really putting up the numbers that they used to, Tomas Hertl has stepped up in a big way. He already has a career high in goals with 26. He's 53 points in 54 games, on pace for around 80 points, and that would be very impressive. If you were to tell me before the season started Tomas Hertl would have 80 points, I honestly thought his potential would be around 65 to 70, but he really is showing that he can be an elite level player in the NHL, and I don't really hear many people talking about him. Obviously, a lot of the coverage when it comes to the Sharks is surrounded by Erik Karlsson, Brent Burns, Couture, and Pavelski and those guys, but Tomas Hertl quietly is being established as one of their best players, and I honestly think he could be one of the more elite players in the entire NHL in the coming years. And finally, finishing off the video with the Pacific Division leading Calgary Flames, I decided to go with David Rittich. He really has been a savior for this team this year. Obviously, the team is having a remarkable season, and he really arguably is the biggest part of that, you know, besides Johnny Gaudreau and all of the offensive firepower that they do have. The big question mark around this team coming into the year was, can Mike Smith be a starter caliber goaltender in the NHL, good enough to really bring them to the playoffs? And I think we got the answer, and I don't think the answer is yes, but David Rittich has came came in, or David Rittich or Rittich, however you say it. I'm going to say Rittich has came in and really just been exceptional. He's 26 years old, undrafted, very impressive. 56 games played, 28 wins, 11 losses, and 8 overtime losses in his career so far. A 2.75 goals against and a .909 save percentage. And this year, like I said, he's just been remarkable. 34 games played, 20 wins, 5 losses, and 5 overtime losses. A 2.66 goals against and a .911 save percentage. And he arguably could be the MVP of this Calgary Flames team this season. I know a lot of people are going to say Johnny Gaudreau, but without good goaltending, you're not going to win many games, and he really has been exceptional to go along with all the firepower that they have up front. And I hear a lot of people talking about Gaudreau and Giordano and all those guys, but not enough people talking about Rittich, so that's why I decided to go with him, because I think he's arguably been the biggest part of their success this season. So that is going to wrap up today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy, and like I said at the start, make sure to let me know down in the comment section what other type of one from every team would you guys want to see. I hope you enjoyed this entire series. It was a lot of fun to make, and obviously if you disagree with some of the picks, you don't have to hate. Just let me know your opinions down in the comment section below. And with that being said, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content, and I will see you guys all in the next video.